All right. How would you rate your season to date?
I think for us, it's been a lot of learning, honestly. I mean, obviously, it's not very easy to be a rookie, and your first lap on the track on the weekend is going 180 with 30 other guys out there. So it's definitely been a little bit difficult not having to practice or the qualifying. But at the same time, I think we've done a lot to try and prepare for the races and trying to know what we're getting into before we get there. So it's just been a lot of trying to take things from one track to the next and trying to apply things as much as we can.
Is there a race so far that you feel like stands out as being your best effort so far?
I think for us, it was probably Phoenix. We got a top 10 there. So it was a solid day. The 750 tracks and even Bristol was a good track for us before we actually got caught up in a wreck. But overall, I mean, I think the 550 tracks have definitely been tough for us, but the 750 short tracks have been fairly good.
What was your reaction when you heard the All-Star race was moving to Bristol?
I was excited. I mean, I think it's something that we haven't ever had the All Star race anywhere else, and I think Bristol's like the perfect track for it because obviously you're going to be beating and banging, throwing slide jobs, so it's going to make it extremely exciting when people are going for $1 million. So I think it's going to be a really exciting one, maybe one of the best All Star races we've ever seen.
You mentioned earlier that earlier this year you crashed at Bristol. What do you feel like your chances are in the All-Star Open?
I'm looking forward to it. I'm pretty optimistic, honestly. I think we had a good car at the first Bristol race. We just got caught up in a wreck. But overall, I mean, I think I've always loved to go to Bristol. It's one of the tracks that I think every driver loves to go to. So I'm looking forward to it. I think we can definitely have a good run.
A lot of talented drivers in the All-Star Open. What's going to be your strategy for that race?
Oh, right now, I mean, it's going to be just trying to make it in the big race, obviously. I mean, you try and go as hard as you can and try and get to the front. I mean, you got to, you might have to use the bumper. You might have to, be a little bit aggressive for sure when you're going for the only guy who gets anything out of this is the winner. So you got to try and make it in that race.
Um, how cool will it be able to race in front of a substantial number of fans that'll be at Bristol for that once again?
That'll be awesome. Also, I think it's something that will get us back to normal. A little bit. I think we've all been looking for that normalcy in our lives right now. So to get fans back to the track and having those people there is going to be awesome. It's been really strange the last few weeks not having fans there before and after the race. So having them back, I think, will be kind of energize everybody.
You mentioned getting back to normalcy. How important of a role do you feel like sports plays during this time to give people a distraction with all the events going on in the world?
I think it's extremely important. Having people, people are probably getting bored at this standpoint, So I think having us to kind of keep some excitement, and that's what we love to do. I think it's just something that NASCAR has taken all the procedural, things that they can to try and keep us safe, and I think they've done a great job. So I think it's definitely great to see us back at the racetrack and getting things back normal.
How do you approach racing at Bristol, both mentally and physically?
I think mentally it's something where you kind of have to be passively aggressive, which is a tough way to kind of put things. So you have to be there at the end of the race, but at the same time, you just can't wait around because somebody else is going to get you. So it's trying to balance those two things is extremely hard there. And also physically, it's definitely one of the hardest tracks we go to. It's so many G forces there. I think the highest G force track that we go to. So it's hard on your neck. It's hard on your everything on your body. So to try and make it through that many laps is not the easiest task.
What's your thoughts on the rookie battle this season?
I think it's exciting. I mean, I think hopefully we can bring some excitement back to the rookie battle, from past years. I think there's 3 or 4 of us that are, really competitive. So to, have that kind of battle, I think is kind of behind the scenes is kind of cool.
What's been the toughest adjustment for you being a rookie on the Cup Series?
I think honestly, right now it's been getting used to the cars, and obviously it's been a little bit tough just because you don't have much practice to run through things and get a feel for them. So it's been trying to adapt to the cars as fast as you can, and you're up against a lot of stiff competition, so you're trying to catch on as fast as you can.
How have you handled the hectic pace of the season with so many races bunched together?
It's been a lot about trying to not stress yourself out, I guess. All our races are so close together. You have to try and prepare for them as fast as you can. And knocking that out in a timely manner is definitely important, and not getting yourself too stressed out before a race. So I think it's definitely been something we've never done before. So it's been interesting to try and learn that and figure it out.
Have you had to rely a lot on your Stewart Haas Racing teammates early in the season for any kind of tips and things?
For sure. I mean, I try and talk with Kevin Harvick pretty much every single weekend, trying to get an idea going to the racetrack. He's been extremely helpful, really open notebook with me. And it's just a matter of trying to take whatever experience he has and try and apply it to how I drive the car. And he's definitely been a huge help. And all my teammates, Clint and Eric, have all been extremely helpful. So it's definitely been really a huge asset to have those guys.
What happened on that crash at Bristol? What happened? Your car got tore up pretty bad there.
Yeah, that was not a fun day. We were actually going forward. I felt like we were going to have a good run. And then somebody spun out to the inside and just collected us when he came back up at the track. And that's just pretty much classic Bristol. Sometimes you just get caught up in things. So hopefully we can stay out of that this time. But it's definitely one of those things where it's just part of it sometimes at Bristol.
With no points on the line and that much money, do you foresee some damaged cars coming out of that race?
I would probably put money on that. It's definitely there's going to be some guys going pretty hard for that money, and it's one of those tracks where you don't have a lot of room. You're going really fast, and sometimes you got to use the bumpers. So I think there's going to be a lot of that.
Do you have a favorite all-star race memory over the years, even as a fan before you became a driver? Is there anything that stands out of the races that you've watched either on TV or as in person?
I think for me, one that I remember is Tony Stewart's All Star win in 2009 or so. I think with Stewart Haas Racing, it was actually their first win as a company, and that was one that stood out to me for sure. I think seeing Tony how excited he was to finally win with his own team, that was pretty cool to see.
And then the last question, the All-Star race will be held on a Wednesday night. You guys have had a few Wednesday night races. What are your thoughts on Wednesday night races? Are you good with racing in the middle of the week?
I think it's been something that's been really groundbreaking for our sport to be able to kind of do that, and for the first time in this kind of era. So it's definitely been something that we can kind of learn from and use in the future, I think. And kind of spice up our schedule. So I think it's definitely been cool, and I think it's definitely a little bit tough at times for a driver because you have to try and hydrate and keep yourself fresh for the next race. But at the same time, I think it's definitely something you can do from time to time.
All right, Cole. Well, we appreciate your time today, and that was all the questions we had. And good luck to you in Indianapolis, and we'll look forward to seeing you here at Bristol on July the 15th.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.